a meaningful trade that the Knicks pulled off. Not going to win them a title this year, but going to make them younger, more athletic, probably a little bit better basketball team. But slow your roll because nobody wants Zion. And I don't understand why the acquisition of Cam Reddish makes people think Zion is next. You know where Zion is right now? At the same buffet Mekhi Becton's at. And why do we want that? We don't. Anyway, lots cooking. Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, buddy?
Superb.
All right, you won a basketball game. You guys act like you won Game 7 of the second round.
Maybe I'm superb because I had a good night's sleep. Maybe I'm superb because I had a nice chat with my 5-year-old this morning. Why do you have to jump to any conclusions?
Because I know you. Because you're hobnobbing around this building today, buying lunch for everybody.
Yeah.
Because you won a regular season basketball game.
Is it okay?
The Knicks won last night. I didn't buy everybody Shake Shack.
Well, because you're going nowhere. Is it okay for me to be happy?
Yeah,
I'm
of
a
course.
happy guy.
I pledge happiness.
And I told you yesterday, if you wanted to jump aboard, I would have bought you Shake Shack too.
And what did I say?
You said no.
Right, because I'm a Knicks fan.
And then I went into your office and ate my burger right in front of you.
Yeah, I had no problem with it.
And I saw the pain.
I
saw the pain on your face.
What's amazing is that these two multivoms sitting across the room from me, who don't say no to anything that's given to them for free, threw their fandom right into the toilet today and accepted your very generous, by the way.
Thank you.
Lunch offer, knowing that it was dirty money.
You know what, Craig?
And
I
that's fine. That's I understand their lot in life.
You're completely right. I have great respect for you. In all seriousness,
There you go.
If you had offered me a free lunch if the Knicks did something well, I would never have accepted it.
And nor should you.
And this is the real test of you, Craig, because you're kind of
I love
fatty
Shake Shack.
and you love food and you don't turn down free food. So I went right to the jugular and you said no. And I have deep respect for that.
I'm glad we're on the same page as far as that goes, especially since they owe you a burrito and still haven't gotten you the burrito.
That's a good point.
And yet had no problem taking your free burger.
That's true.
Even at a crazy order, I'll have my burger on an avocado because I'm going keto. But you shove 1,500 calories down your gullet with the burger and cheese and bacon that you got from Shake Shack. In any event, the Knicks did make a trade. They got Cam Reddish. And again, it's not winning us a title, but give Leon Rose credit. It's a one-sided trade the way I see it. The picks that ultimately the Knicks are giving up are not really going to amount to anything because it's a heavily protected pick. It's probably going to wind up being a couple second-round picks. And you get a young kid who is having a tough time getting in the Atlanta rotation who just adds some more depth to this team.
And you know where Leon Rose is going to look even smarter? So now the Knicks have extra wings. They've got too many guys as well. They have a log jam. And so what I think Leon Rose is going to do, and this is when you're even going to wax more poetic about him, is he's not going to trade Evan Fournier because he's got no value. But I think he's going to take a guy like Alec Burks who does and says, you know what? Veteran guy's played well.
Sure.
He's got value around the league. Let me see if I could turn him into a first-round pick.
Maybe get a pick back, right?
Yeah, and if I tell you, you basically turn a guy who doesn't really have a future with this team and Alec Burks into a guy who very well may, and that's the key word. We don't know for sure with Cam. He's taken a big step this year. He's had a tough time playing, but his three-point shot's been a lot better this year. He's a guy that you want to take a look at. That's where it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
because you get a look at the kid and see if he could be a part of this rotation moving forward.
Yeah, and it also kind of put a cap now on the deal with Dallas a couple years ago.
Well, they got another pick coming next year.
Yeah, but it's second round, right?
No, it's a first-round pick.
Protected or no?
Yeah, it's always protected,
right.
but nevertheless, a first-round pick's a first-round pick.
Yeah, that's true. So good job by the Knicks coming off a big win. And everyone's feeling good. Net fans are feeling good. You beat a very good Chicago team, right? Record-wise, the best team in the league going into last night.
We feel good because we
all three
saw
guys play
what
together.
This team can be
All
when
good.
they're almost fully intact.
For a half, at least.
What do you mean?
Right? Was it 77 all at one point?
It was 71-71, but then they turned it on, and that's what great teams do. Now, they have to prove they're a great team by playing together for any consistent period of time, but that was what I like to call a sports mental health win, because the Nets have played like crap for 2 weeks, and I'm sorry, as a sports fan, and I know it's easier for you to take a step back and say, stop worrying, it's January. Both ways, losses and wins. But I think sometimes as a fan, you need to feel good about things. And last night at about 12:30, I felt good.
Yeah. I listen, there's no reason not to feel good right now. The Nets won. The Knicks won. The Knicks are 4.5 games out of the 4th spot with 40 games to go. So, achieving what they achieved last year is back on the table. 500 basketball or better back on the table, and it's all good. A couple things that came out of yesterday, non-basketball related. This just might be my sensibilities, but it really bothered me yesterday. And it's got nothing at all to do with football, but I was really turned off by it to the point where I went against my pledge not to tweet non-show hours. Because I'm done with Twitter non-show hours.
Is that really a pledge?
Yeah, I'm not tweeting during non-show hours.
Is that why you don't respond to me sometimes?
Yeah, I will tweet during the show because I think it promotes the show.
Right.
But I'm not going to tweet during non-show hours.
You're so sensitive. Huh?
But then I saw something yesterday, and I have to say it really bothered me. And I don't even like Joe Judge. I was the driving force back in September of get rid of the clown that is Joe Judge. But Joe Judge does have the right to some privacy now. Joe Judge has the right to order 5 cases of beer and 20 pizzas and have the assistant coaches over his crib to say thank you and goodbye. Joe Judge has the right to walk outside his front door with his children without being bothered by the media. And yesterday, I guess it was TMZ, had a camera crew stationed. I say camera crew, it's probably one guy with a camera. But had paparazzi stationed outside Joe Judge's house. And we all know the story now. Joe Judge was seen with like a push cart bringing like 4 or 5 cases of beer and a whole bunch of pizza into the house. And we learned later on that he invited his assistant coaches and their wives or girlfriends over to say goodbye and to thank them for the hard work that they put in. I think it's a very classy move, and I applaud Joe Judge for doing that. I think it's a good thing to do. Matter of fact, if he had been more like that over the course of the last 2 months, I think he might have a job. But he didn't. But the fact that we've got camera people outside the man's house waiting to see what Joe Judge did in reaction to being fired, I think sucks. I really do. I hated every minute of it. And you can attack me all you want for that opinion. Go F yourselves. Because he was a lousy head coach. Didn't make him a bad guy, and doesn't mean he deserves now to have paparazzi outside his house while he goes to eat dinner. I hated it. I don't know if you had a feeling about it one way or the other, but I really hated it.
My feeling
made me feel icky.
My feeling was more, who cares? Like, the guy
it's
got
not right.
fired.
It's not right.
Move on from covering him.
Oh,
like,
okay.
why? That's what I mean. I apologize. I don't mean who cares with what you're saying. Everything you said is actually right on. I mean, give the man his privacy. But my first reaction when I saw it, and I saw the article from TMZ, was, why are we still covering him?
Yeah, he's done.
Like, most Giant fans are now thinking about the future. Yesterday was a little bit of a Joe Judge day. It was a little reflective on the decision, why it happened. But then it turned, as the day went on, into who are we hiring?
And that's a much more important question now.
Joe Judge moves into the dustpan of Giant history, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean that in a truthful way. Just like Pat Shurmur's in the dustpan of Giant history, just like Ray Hanley is, just like Ben McAdoo is, that's where he is. So why would you even take the time to say, hey, let's see what Joe Judge is doing tonight? He just got fired.
That's what it was.
Why?
They want to see, like, is Joe Judge going to come after you? He's going to swing at you. And any of that stuff. The big story that came out yesterday, though, involving, just to put a capper on the Giants press conference yesterday and firing Joe Judge, is the Daily News report that kind of backed up what I said, really just guessing on Monday and Tuesday, Evan. Mm-hmm. And that is, and this is not going to make you happy, if you're a diehard Giant fan who wants to believe that John Mara can be trusted to make the right move, here's what the Daily News wrote yesterday, or today, about the last couple days. John Mara wanted to bring Joe Judge back. He was prepared to bring Joe Judge back. It was Steve Tisch that came in and said, he's gone. Now, I said that Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. You said
just trying to figure out the room.
Well, your prediction was Judge is gone because Tisch is in the room.
Yeah.
Like, Tisch came in and said, enough of this crap.
But
Let's
you're
get rid
making
of
me
him.
come to New Jersey for a couple hours. I hate New Jersey. If I'm coming to New Jersey, someone's getting fired, right? And yet he was the adult in the room.
Yeah.
And he's not the guy that has the press conference. John Mara is. John Mara said, I got to re-earn the trust of the Giant fan. But the reality is, if you believe what I thought would have happened and what the Daily News is saying happened, Joe Judge would still be the head coach of the New York Giants if John Mara didn't have a co-owner.
So you know what this reminds me of?
That's scary.
Well, this reminds me of something, and you could tell me that's not good. This still scares me. You could say, oh, that makes me feel better. It feels exactly the same. This feels like Fred Wilpon and Nelson Doubleday, where Fred was the front man for the New York Mets. Let's go back to 1998. Fred Wilpon did not want to trade for Mike Piazza. Nelson Doubleday put his foot down and said, we're trading for Mike Piazza. Now, knowing that, and we sort of knew it at the time, it's fair to say, wow, I can't trust Fred Wilpon. I mean, what is he wanted to keep Todd Hundley.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's another partner. Maybe a more silent partner, but a guy who every once in a while speaks up, which Nelson Doubleday did once in a while. If that's what Tisch is, isn't it ultimately a good thing when he steps up at the right time?
Yes.
Like making the decision to fire Joe Judge, like making the decision to, I don't know, trade for Mike effing Piazza?
I would hope that Steve Tisch is more involved then. Because if Steve Tisch is the guy that ain't afraid of making the move and pulling the plug on something when it's obviously not working, and they would have Joe Judge still here, and Joe Judge is telling people, I thought I was a lock to come back. How could you expect me to win? I lost half my roster this year.
Right.
So that story's out there now. So if you're a Giant fan that walked out of yesterday's press conference saying, all right, I respect what John Mara said, he's going to have a chance to re-earn my faith and trust and belief in his stewardship of this franchise, it got thrown out the window when you learn the truth. When he told you it was a gut punch to walk down the hall and fire Joe Judge, he was being honest about that because he didn't want to do it.
But here's the good news. When they're interviewing the 9 general manager candidates, and that's a wider net than they did 4 years ago, and that's great. I think we're all happy about the list they put together. It doesn't feel like John Mara is going to sit there like king and make the decision. It feels like Tisch is now a very big voice in this.
I hope he is.
Right?
I love the Tisch.
Because Tisch even said in that statement, I forget the exact words, but he was pissed about the disappointment of the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So if Tisch ultimately made the decision to fire Joe Judge, you'd have to think he's going to want a louder voice in making the decision on who the GM is.
Well,
and you have to take the leap of faith that John Mara and Steve Tisch, it's Steve Tisch, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Jonathan's his brother. Jonathan runs the Lowe's Hotel.
I just want to make sure I got it right.
And he's on the board, but Steve is the active owner of the two.
You have to take a leap of faith, and I'm not telling you to be confident, but you got to take the leap of faith that both John Mara and Steve Tisch are actually going to get this right.
Listen, for Giant fans, I hope so. You know, listen, I want a winner in this town. Other than the Nets, I am desperate for a winner in this freaking town. We've gone too long without it. I want wins. We'll get all your calls. We'll obviously go over the Knick trade today, get your reaction to it. Again, it's not like you're acquiring Michael Jordan, but the Knicks are a better team today, in my opinion, than they were about 2 hours ago.